people who are watching my stream right now on August 13th, 2026. Thank you for watching my stream on August 13th, 2026. How's your August 13th been on 2026? Not last year. This year. Hey Zila, waving emoji. Hi Tree. Hello Greed. Good evening to you. Muted? I'm not. Also, date was wrong? You're being silly. You're being silly. Hello Sheepy, missed you. I missed you too. Mwah. Wait, it's not the 13th, right? No, it is. Okay, I was right about that. You're just being silly. Good evening, Asila. Good evening, Nimby. Hi, Essie. Hi, Lunk. Hi, Essie. Hi, CD. Hello, Asila. Hi, thanks for being here today. Thank you for stopping by my stream. Today, we will continue reading Higurashi. We're still on chapter 1. I don't remember what chapter of chapter 1, but we're like pretty much done. For the most part, we're like nearly there. It's not gonna be that long, surely. Sippy emoji. I have 2 sips today. I have tea. It is the Asila drink, the most Asila drink ever. I have... what's it called? Sorry. I haven't talked to anybody all day. It was a really quiet day at work. What's it called? I have throat coat with a little bit of agave. Pretty good. And my second drink is a big cup of water. How was your day? It was okay. It was really quiet. Nothing really happened. I didn't talk to anybody and nobody talked to me, including customers. And that's the part that I care about. How was your day? I'm ready to see the doors be thrown down. Me too. I thought that last time we would have gotten all the way through it. What do you mean there's more? What do you mean nothing happened and it hasn't happened yet? If chapter 1 has so many parts, then is it really even chapter 1? I don't know. Why does a chapter have chapters inside of it? We should call it something else. It's confusing. I was reading all day. It was cozy. Did you start on your new visual novel that you were talking about yesterday? Sip of water, excuse me. I hope that you did, and hope that it was super fun. A day was fine. It was a weird mix of multitasking. Had to paint one of the walls. Ooh, what color? Or normal wall color. I hope it was a fun color. I want to have painted walls in my house that are something other than like beige, yellowish. I like the color yellow though. Speaking of colors and yellow, I have a poll. Today's poll is, what is a better color? Is it purple or yellow? They're tied for my favorite, so I'm not allowed to vote. But which one is the best color? You can only pick one of them. Not even halfway done? Dang, it's gonna be a long one. As they usually are, just like how this one's a long one. Apparently chapter 1 is like shorter in comparison to the rest of the chapters too, so we will see. We'll see. It's harsher light green color. I think the sun is gonna react or reflect it greatly. Interesting. So is it like green screen or like minty? I'm guessing 160 hours of reading. Oh goodness gracious. That's more reading than I did in like all of maybe 5th grade to 12th grade combined. I read a few things in school. I wasn't a big fan of reading though, because most of the time they didn't let you read something that like you picked. It would just be like whatever you were assigned. I did like the few things that I did actually get to pick. Like, was it Less Than Zero? It's the Bret Easton Ellis one. Which, by the way, I didn't know that he wrote American Psycho, and I didn't know that that was a book either. I didn't know that was a book, and I didn't know that he wrote it. You learn something new all the time. 20,000 plus words, that's so many. Howdy, hi Sapphire, thanks for being here today. Purple is way better than yellow. I think that they're equally good. I like both of those colors. Also had Dang Wolf, speed reading. I know, that's so many. Story time, bedtime story. Mint green sounds accurate. Mint green, gotcha. Pretty tasty. I don't know if that's the color that I would make the walls in my house. But I also don't know what color I would make my walls. I think for the most part, my walls would just be like a normal wall color. But you have to have like one big accent wall, you know? You have to have one color to really make the space pop. Maybe I will pick yellow. Maybe I will pick yellow. I read at normal speed? Well, regardless of how fast you read, you are still reading a lot of words. That's a lot. Alright, right now purple is winning at 76%. It's a total of 21 votes. Total combined, not 21 votes to purple. And did your school have the thing where after you read a library book, you can take a quiz on it afterwards on a library computer? I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember going to the library and I used to pick out drawing books and books about witchcraft. And I remember the first book I ever checked out at the school library. I was one of the few people who were allowed to pick like big chapter books because apparently I was just like a reading prodigy and I was crazy smart or something. So it was like me and 3 other people who were allowed to pick out big books when we were tiny people. And the very first book I ever checked out, sorry, I have to get all the mispronunciations out of the way before I read this dang thing. The very first book I ever checked out was like a 500-page book about basketball. Did I like basketball? No. I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer and a soccer player. I did not like basketball, but that's what I decided to check out. Purple used to be the rarest color on the planet. On the planet? Does nothing naturally produce purple? What a normal wall color though? White? Maybe. Book mode based? No, I don't like basketball. Purple means grape, which is yummy. Purple is grape. Purple is grape. Just as long as it's not artificial grape flavor, I'm not a big fan of that. Hi Marcel. Thanks for stopping by my stream today. How are you? Heyo, Cry. Hi, Cry. Thanks for stopping by as well. But I don't remember if we had quizzes or not on the computer. Ready to run the ones, Essie? Run the ones? What does that mean? You're telling me stuff I don't know, and I probably don't know these things because I didn't read anything in school. I was busy sleeping. Purple means Essie, and that makes me happy. But also yellow. My eyes are yellow. My bell is yellow. The middle of my flower is yellow. Yellow and purple is me. Hi, how long? One-on-one basketball? One-on-one basketball? I never considered that a possibility. I think that you would win. When I was in high school, it is kind of hard to sleep through PE, so for the portion of my high school where I was not homeschooled and in a real school and around other people, you would have to do like whatever sport they were telling you to do a lot of the time. But there were so many days where you could just do whatever you want as long as you were doing something active. Like you could just walk or something. I don't think the teacher cared that much, just as long as you were moving. So for a lot of my high school PE, I would just pick up a basketball and like throw it into the hoop. Still don't really care about basketball though. Is he better than LeBron at basketball? I don't know. Your eyes are super cute. Thanks. I kept them open just so you can look at them. Yeah, beautiful yellow eyes. Thank you. And purple is grape flavored and grapes are always available in the produce section, so purple will never be rare. Well, maybe not never in the future, but maybe yes, not never like in the past, or yes, never in the past. Would have never guessed you read up on basketball. I don't know if I read that book or not. I don't think I did. I don't know much of anything about any sport. I don't care about most sports. I gave up on sports when I was a child, when I got my dreams crushed by my mother. And when she told me ha 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 ha, when I told her that I wanted to play volleyball. Essie is the second best player of all time? No, I'm like the #1 worst. I agree. The yellow is pretty nice. I do like yellow, yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. I like my grapes green. Them's the good stuff. I like green and purple grapes. I with mouth emoji. Believe it or not, purple and yellow seem like a very common combination for VTubers. I know one, but her purple is a more vibrant. Yeah, my purple is pale and dull. In a good way. But it's so pale that you guys don't even think my hair is purple. You guys think my hair is white. Yay, it's an Essie stream. Hi, Happy. Thanks for being here today. Thank you for stopping by my stream. Soon, we are going to read our story. We have 4 minutes left until bedtime story time. Purple grapes and cotton candy grapes are my absolute favorite. They still make cotton candy grapes. I tried cotton candy grapes, I think, one time. I don't know if they're, like, expensive or anything. I don't know if they sell them at Walmart. I always just pick up green grapes because I feel like between green and purple grapes, I always expect green to be more sour and purple to be more sweet. But every time I get grapes, it's the opposite. So I've just been getting green grapes. Isn't your hair gray, Granny? No, my hair is purple. But your hair is gray? Maybe you should get your eyes checked, Marcel. How many flags have the color purple? All of them if you use your imagination. I still remember when you painted the screen to prove your hair is purple and not gray. See? Slayer remembers. Slayer would be right because Slayer remembers. I found the cotton candy grapes at Heb and Kroger. I think they were maybe $1 more at most per pound. That's kind of a lot of money though. It's very soft light purple. Yeah. No, that's great. Try looking at it with your eyes open. Slayer is an industry plant. No, he's not. Slayer just remembers, unlike you. You wouldn't know because you weren't there. You're a brand new Asila Sheffield fan. Brand new. He's behind on all the Asila Sheffield lore. Yeah, definitely more expensive than green grapes. Definitely. Definitely. Speaking of, I still have some grape in my teeth. It's skin. I had a grape for dessert. One grape for dessert sounds sad. For dinner, I had chicken with rice. It's leftover chicken and rice from what I made 2 days ago. And I wanted one grape when I was done. It was really tasty. I still have frozen grapes. One grape, one grape. I didn't want more grapes. I only wanted one grape. That's what I was in the mood for. A singular grape? Yes. I went to Walmart yesterday, but I didn't really get to shop. I was picking up a prescription. Oh, prescription? Good luck with your conditions. I hope that it was a good Walmart trip. I can always trust Walmart to give me the stuff that I need, but I don't know how good their prescription stuff is because I don't have any as an American. My flower changed again. Let's go. Your flower is wilting away and rotting. Congratulations, JLPTGM, for 2 months together. No way. And you have an expensive one too. You know, we have memberships that are 99 cents. You don't have to have an expensive one. You could just have a cheap one. It was actually for someone else. That's why I had to leave so soon. Oh, gotcha. Well, good luck to whoever you are giving the medication to. I made a cheese quesadilla because I was very lazy tonight. That sounds so good, actually. Ever since I brought up quesadillas and how I like to have shrimp in them, like a few days ago, I've been wanting that for dinner. But I just had my last tortilla. I don't have any more. Never tried freezing grapes. They're so good. Freezer grapes right now. Freezer grapes right now. Try one in the morning. Delectable. It was actually for someone else. I heard frozen grapes are really good. They're super good. They're super duper good. Yeah, don't care? Yeah, well, you should, because every cent counts. Thank you for 2 months together, though. I appreciate that. Time flies. I feel like you haven't been here for 2 months. I can afford to do the expensive one. I mean, yeah, true, but I'm just putting it out there. We have cheaper options. Maybe it's information that'll help somebody else. Okay, let's read our story. Ah, he's back. All right. If you had a stand mixer, you could make tortillas at home. I could, but are the stand mixers loud though? Because that's the entire reason I don't have a blender. I don't like how loud they are. I feel like the mixer that my mother had was loud. I don't want to be noisy, and I don't want to listen to noisy. Time flew a bit too fast. I still feel like you just came back. I know, I feel like I just came back too. Depends on my budget that week. I keep it tight, lol. No problem. And if you ever have to cancel, I understand as well. I've never frozen grapes, but I've definitely frozen cherries. But ooh, that also sounds good. I've frozen apple slices and grapes. I was also told I should freeze oranges, but I haven't tried that yet. Time to get cozy in bed. I love Satoko. I think all the characters are very charming and endearing. Chapter 10? Dang, there's a lot of chapters in chapter 1. You could wear headphones when you use Blender. My headphones are broken. I broke my headphones more recently. All of the foamy stuff is gone on my left headphone, and the fabric is missing too, and I don't have any replacement parts for it. So I only have one now. When doves cry? No, this is when the bugs cry, which rhymes with doves, kind of. I don't remember. Did we read any tips? We got one tip. Not feeling so hot. Keiichi-kun's been feeling down lately. Maybe he's in a bad mood. I wonder. Maybe he's on his period. Michan, that's gross. I'm not gonna laugh like that. What do you think? Don't know. Could be that Kei-chan. Maybe. I don't know. That day, Kei-chan was in the car talking to some tubby middle-aged guy, right? Yeah. No mistake. That Oishi, he probably fed him something fishy. He was so serious. Keiichi-kun's face was so pale. You see, you might not know this, but he's actually the messenger of Oyashiro-sama. Huh? What do you mean? Whenever he shows up, someone is demoned away. No lie. Oh? Is that so? The year before last, when Rika-chan's mom drowned, right? Right before that, she was visited by Oishi. Now that you mention it, it happened before Satoshi-kun transferred out. Transferred? You're so sweet, Rana. So this time he's appeared before Keiichi-kun. So Keiichi-kun's going to be demoned away too? An empty silence hung in the air, and then it was suddenly interrupted by loud laughter. It was super quick. That was probably the fastest tips we've gotten so far. Good luck reading, thank you. It's the Fiend? That's my favorite Prince song. Prince, like Utena Prince Sama? What's your favorite Utena Prince Sama song? Is he on his period? I thought where the conversation was going, I thought that they were gonna say that like Keiichi was pregnant or something because of the time he spent with Oishi. See, please don't become a yandere, right? Don't worry, I don't think I would do that. Isn't that how Goofy laughs? Yes, Goofy all laugh. We're just gonna kill him, little red Corvette. Okay, let's save now that we read it. Oh gosh. At least I didn't mispronounce anything while actually reading, I think. In the Gregnant? Or I'm Gregnant. Oh, congratulations, KG. Hi, Asila. Hope you have a good stream. Thank you, Art. Alright, I'm gonna take a big sip of my tea before I do a whole lot of reading. This was the first time I'd woke up with such clarity. It was 5:59, just moments before my alarm would go off. I was amazed at the precision of my internal clock. I'd made preparations for the next day of school before I went to bed. I changed quickly and descended to the deserted lower floor. It appeared that my mom was still asleep. Neither breakfast nor lunch was ready. Yesterday, I just unilaterally declared that I would be leaving early today, so it couldn't be helped. I slathered jam on some bread and topped it with instant cocoa. Just as I finished up breakfast, Mom rose groggily from her slumber. My, Keiichi, you're up so early. Is there some sort of school event? Not really. Answering bluntly, I picked up my bag and stood after stuffing 2 slices of bread down my throat. You're leaving already? What about lunch? If you don't wait a bit, I can make it. If I waited for her to make my lunch, then it would end up being the same time as usual. If I did that, it would raise the chances of me running into Rena and Mion on the way. Yes, from today onwards, I was going to go to school alone. I'll be fine for today. Then what'll you do for lunch? I'll slip out and buy some bread or something at the store. Really? Then here's some lunch money. Be sure to bring back the receipt. I took the 1,000 yen bill from Mom and slipped it into my pocket. It's pretty early. Is Rena-chan up this early as well? No, just me. Did you tell Rena that you're leaving early? I have no reason to tell her every little detail now, do I? Finding it difficult answering the onslaught of questions, I made an annoyed face. Tell Rena that I went ahead and when she comes. Hey, Keiichi, wait! It's not that I didn't trust my parents. I just couldn't rely on them. They couldn't help me. I could only hope that they didn't get involved. It was safer that way. My mom's annoying voice was cut off by the slam of the door. For the first time since I moved here, I headed down the road to school alone. Up until now, I had always walked down the same path at the same time each day. So I always met with the same people at the same places. But today was different. I didn't meet the people I would normally, and nobody was at the places where I would have normally met them. Of course, Rena wasn't in the spot where we usually meet, and there wasn't anyone at the spot where we would have to meet up with Mion. The length of the tree's shadows, the morning air, and the brightness of the sun was a completely different type of morning from what I was used to. Without a doubt, it felt strange. It left me with the impression that I had destroyed the illusion Hinamizawa had set up for me before it had enough time to prepare all the props needed to deceive me. My, Keiichi-kun. You're so early today. Is everyone meeting early this morning? The person who called out to me was someone we always passed by as they were taking a walk along the edge of the fields. Their name was... I forgot. Of course, this wasn't the spot where we usually passed each other. I woke up early today, so I thought it'd be a good change of pace. That's all. I threw out a random excuse. What about Rena-chan and Mion-chan? Are you by yourself today? Well, yeah. I was being asked the same type of questions my mom was asking, so I answered them in the same uninterested, vague manner. It wasn't funny being asked where Rena was each time I passed by someone. But maybe it was to be expected. It was because for so long we were always together, so amicably. Even I felt that it let my guard down. You could still be... Stop it, Keiichi. Don't think about that anymore. You spent all day yesterday thinking about how dangerous it was to go soft, didn't you? Oh gosh, I accidentally clicked on Twitter. Ah, that was scary. Beep, beep, beep. A car horn blared from out of nowhere. Even though I was walking, lost in thought, that horn was way too close. A mechanical behemoth barreled at me from behind, catching me completely off guard. By the time I turned around, the van's hulking chassis was almost on top of me. I'd seen plenty of cars veer to the opposite shoulder to avoid pedestrians, but this car was doing the opposite. It felt like there was somebody on the opposite shoulder of the van, and the van was swerving in my direction to avoid them. That blissfully ignorant train of thought delayed me from realizing something much, much more important. That large mass was hurtling right at me. Was it going to hit me? The inside of my head instantly flooded with a painfully cold liquid. In that moment, the scene before me, no time itself, had frozen. In the silence of that frozen moment, I compared the van so close that I had no way to dodge it, and my body, the upper half, twisted awkwardly in order to look behind me. There was no way I could dive out of the way in my current position. If I lost focus now, this moment would unpause, and I would probably be plowed over, caught in this silly pose. Bend my upper body over towards the paddy by the side of the road. If I bend far enough, I'd get away with just being hit by the side view mirror. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, the temporal stasis was shattered by deafening sound of the van. Suddenly, it's so hard to read. Oh my gosh, the background was terrible. The side mirror struck my shoulder, sending me spinning off through the air like a top, locking in my contorted position. Sent tumbling through the air, I crashed into the muddy paddy by the side of the road. My entire body was soiled and drenched. But the chance I had made in that instant was unmistakably for the best. I was covered in mud, but when the alternative was being hit by the car, it was the closest I would be to being unscathed. Rising out from the paddy, I had enough in me to glare over at the stopped van and yell profanities at the driver. I'm not sure if he was able to see me, but the van sped off suddenly. Wait! This was what they call a hit and run, wasn't it? I couldn't help but continue yelling out profanities. The disgrace from being covered in the mud hurt me more than any physical wound. I slogged through the muddy paddy and made my way back onto the road. This is a crime, gosh dang it! I'll track you down and sue you! If I go looking for a van, I'm sure to find it in the little village. The path I was on had rice paddies on either side, and it had become so narrow that one car could barely fit through. It wasn't a place you could tear full speed down in a car, let alone pass by pedestrians. Not only was it a narrow road, but the car just now was closer to my side of the road than the other when it went past me. Even as I cursed, I was desperately trying to suppress the dark cloud rolling up within me. This wasn't just a hit and run. That car just now was trying to run me over, wasn't it? Thinking back, I did feel like there had been a car creeping up on me slowly for a while. That's right. As soon as I had parted ways with that person taking a walk, I had the feeling the whole time. If it had wanted to pass me, then it had no shortage of chances. Normally, I would have felt suspicious and turned around sooner. But I was lost in thought, and I was kicking myself for not realizing it was there sooner. And then, when the path became narrow and there was no one else in sight, he floored it. If I had hesitated for even a moment, the result would have been no laughing matter. As the adrenaline rush from nearly being run over subsided, and the realization of just how terrifying the preceding events were sunk in. There was no doubt about it. That van was intentionally trying to hit me. A cold, viscous sweat seeped from my scalp and slid down my back before dribbling off. Oh, thanks for joining the membership for 12 months, 1 year! Happy 1 year anniversary special week! Thank you so much! I struggled to avoid falling into a panic. There was still a possibility that this was really just an accident. Calm down, Keiichi. But also, don't be so naive, Keiichi! Being that lax will get you killed next time. You need to always be on your toes. Don't give them any openings. If my enemy was really out to kill me, the next time they would use a more reliable method. If that time came and I was acting like I was now, I'm being covered in mud. I being covered in mud was the price I'd paid for my own naivete? Naivete? Covered in mud, but without injury. Not even a sprain. I guess this is what you would call a silver lining. I began walking again, this time cautiously. I wouldn't even show a hint of carelessness. I'd suspected only Ren and the others up until now. No, it was because I had suspected them that I was believed there was no other enemies. Oishi-san had said so, didn't he? There was the possibility that all the families of the village were involved. Was I really mired so deeply in the situation that I had no choice but to try and carry on as usual? Wouldn't it be safest to just hold myself up in my house? But the moment I abandoned my regular routine, everyone around me would abandon theirs as well. That was just too horrifying of a thought. I recalled the tales that Oishi-san told me of when Hinamizawa was still called Onikafushi. A frightening tale of an entire village of demons hunting their prey, surrounding them and eating them alive. One must not interfere with the demons. One must pretend not to see it. The enemy were numerous. All the village families. The villagers, with their unwavering faith in the curse, would do nothing to help me. The strong, sudden flash of sunshine made me slightly dizzy. I had no idea what was going on anymore. When I suspected it was the work of a man, I'd catch a glimpse of Oyashiro-sama's curse. When I suspected it was Oyashiro-sama's curse, someone would poke their head out. Was it a coincidence? What was intentional? Who was my enemy? Who's just a bystander? No. What I really, truly wanted to know was, how did I end up with the proverbial bullseye painted on my back? Eventually, an answer in the forum I could understand will appear. I don't care when that'll happen, because until then, I cannot die. That alone fueled my resolve to fight and will keep me alive. I remembered seeing the metal bat in the gym storage shed, but there was a padlock on the door, barring my entry. At the very least, I wanted to get my hands on it before everyone else arrived at school. I circled around the school grounds impatiently. But all I could find were things like pieces of lumber, nothing that I could bring into the classroom easily. Then, I had an epiphany. I should search inside the classroom. If it was something in the classroom to begin with, then there wouldn't be a problem. I could tell that everyone's indoor shoes were still in their lockers. Good thing I came early. Nobody was here yet. I wondered, what could I find in the classroom? I didn't think I could find an especially effective weapon like a bat. But it couldn't be helped at this point. Until the gym storage shed was open, I needed to find a substitute. A lingering hint of naivete whispered that there was no way I'd be attacked at school. I have to look this word up after. I don't know what naivete is. But such a soft idea would no longer protect me. To think that they were slowly making their way into parts of my life that I had once thought impenetrable. In the worst case, my own house might not be safe anymore. That was an incredibly frightening thought. But I believe that not considering the worst case scenario would have been even more frightening. Anyways, I'll survive. So long as I lived, then I'll definitely be able to escape this labyrinth of nonsense. Definitely. My exploration of the classroom came into an impasse. That much was to be expected. There's no way there'd be anything that could be a weapon in the classroom. In case of emergency, there's probably nothing I could do but swing my own chair around. My gaze landed on the lockers that had come to be used for personal storage. The locker that Mion used to store her pile of games was among them. There's one for each person in the class, all lined up. Of course, there's one for me as well. Oh yeah, there's supposed to still be a tracksuit in my locker. Seeing me covered in mud would be strange. Oh gosh, I clicked on Twitter again. Leave me alone. Should go change later. But first, I need a weapon. If one of my classmates came, it'd be hard to rummage through all the lockers. I swiftly began opening the locker one by one. They were mostly just filled with things like gym clothes, personal items, and umbrellas. An umbrella. If I couldn't find anything better, then this would have to be my weapon. I was about to give up on finding anything decent when I opened a locker that held exactly what I wanted. It was, without a doubt, a metal bat. It was well worn and pretty beaten up, but there was no doubt it was usable. In that locker that reeked of mold, there also hung a baseball uniform. It was probably the locker of a student in a Pee-wee league or something like that. If that was the case, then he'd probably ask for it back. At the time, I could hear the voices of the children scuffling their way noisily from the hallway. Amongst them, I could make out Rika-chan and Satoko. Good morning. My, you're quite early this morning, Keiichi-san. I nonchalantly hid the bat I was holding behind my back. What's with your outfit? You're covered in mud. Yeah, I had a little incident. I'm gonna change now, so cut me some slack. With that said, I began taking off my clothes. Satoko began to blush, just as I expected her to. Changing in front of a lady? Have you no tact at all? I would think that a lady staring at someone who is changing would be the one lacking in tact. There's no changing room for the boys, so just deal with it. As Satoko feigned disgust, she went into the hall, still blushing. Conversely, Rika-chan continued to stare at me, preparing to change. If Rika-chan is a lady as well, then I don't think it'd be appropriate for you to be watching. I'm not a lady, so it's fine. She deliberately pouted and looked at me with upturned eyes. Then, starting now, you're a lady. If I'm a lady, then I suppose I must. Rika-chan appeared to be satisfied with being considered a lady, made her way to join Satoko in the hallway. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, Rika-chan stopped suddenly and turned back towards me. Are you going to start playing baseball? It seems that Rika-chan had noticed the bat. Yeah, just, I was feeling a bit out of shape, so I thought I'd just try practicing my swing. I think it's wonderful you're taking care of your health. She was talking like an old lady despite her appearance. After saying that, Rika-chan started to leave again, but stopped and looked back at me once more. Please don't lose that bat. It seems she already knew she knew I took it out of someone's locker. There's no name on the locker door. I didn't know whose bat it was, but I'd be borrowing it until they complained. It wouldn't be for long, just until the gym storage shed was opened. After quickly changing into the tracksuit, I checked the time. I still had plenty of time before class began because I came so early. I took the bat in one hand and went out to the schoolyard. That was, of course, to practice my swing. I needed to make it known I would always have a bat on me, so I could practice my swing. At some point, the sunlight had become even stronger. Disregarding my classmates as they made their way to school, I took my position in the shadow of the school building. I wasn't the academic type, and I wasn't much of an athlete either. I might get muscle pain if I just suddenly started swinging. I should at least start out with some warm-ups. I doubt anyone would think I was doing something out of the ordinary, which was the exact opposite of my actual mental state. I gripped the bat and I swung lightly. The bat was by no means light. The weight would make it a reliable weapon when I needed it to be. Of course, I could only pray that the moment I needed to use this as a weapon would never come. Just carrying it around would deter attacks against me. At least, that's what I hoped. Huh? Kei-chan, what are you doing? Being bombarded with such a hysterical voice, I jumped. Whoa, Keiichi-kun, are you on the baseball team? A baseball team? It was Rena and Mion. I was surprised to hear you went off ahead. What are you doing, Kei-chan? Can't you tell by looking? I'm practicing my swing for the championship. You can say it's part of my diet if you want. Diet? Kei-chan, are you really that fat? But you didn't know, I actually have a beer belly. It's plump and jiggles. Plump and jiggles? Rena, you don't have to imagine something weird like that. To disrupt Rena from imagining something that vulgar, I ruffled her hair messily. Well then, I hope you make it to regionals at least. This old man'll cheer you on. Regionally speaking, it seems that Oshima High is pretty strong. They say their southpaw Kameda-kun is amazing. Good luck. Seems they've made me out as some kind of local prodigy, but oh well. Well, if I really did make it to the championship, it would be a cinch. After all, I'd be the pitcher and the catcher. I'd pitch the ball, then run past the ball I just threw, and change over to being the catcher in a burst of super incredible explosive speed. I laughed wryly at the ludicrous image. Coming back to my senses, I smashed the bat against the ground. Dang it. What am I laughing at? I pounded the ground over and over. With each impact, the reverberation traveled through the bat, stung my hands. If they make me smile like that, don't allow anyone close to me. Don't trust anyone, no matter how many times I tell myself that. If they made me smile like that... I already knew quite well that there were demons dwelling in my smiling friends. But I just couldn't believe it. Did that kind of split personality really exist? Like how Rena confessed to the doctor. Were they simply being possessed by Oyashiro-sama? In other words, did a supernatural being like Oyashiro-sama really exist? And was it possessing everyone to try and kill me? This is like the 4th time I've clicked out of this tab. Dang it. Yeah, that would be wonderful. If only everyone were actually my friends all along and everything was all just Oyashiro-sama's fault. You dang fool, Keiichi Maebara. Come on now. I yelled out, drawing out all the power from the pit of my stomach, and raised the bat violently into the air. Stop being so soft! As I screamed out with all my might, I beat the metal bat into the ground over and over. With every impact, my weakness was being beaten down. Smash. Forget. Smash. Don't be soft. Smash. Know your enemy. Smash. Like hell I'd let them kill me. My shoulders heaving up and down from ragged breathing, I heard the first bell ring just as I calmed down. I gasped with a sudden realization. That was the final bell. As I felt all the tension drain from me, I let out a deep breath. My mind was in a muddled state for much of the entire day. I didn't feel like I was awake, but it didn't feel like I was asleep either. I couldn't say it felt especially comfortable, but I felt a kind of relief that the sanctity of the school part of my daily life had yet to be violated. How long would I have to keep living like this? I could only grit my teeth and bear with it as this living hell slowly gnawed away at me. Keiichi-kun! Come on! It's club time! Club time! The sound of Rena's voice brought me back to my senses. Come on, Keiichi! Stop spacing out! Bring your desk. Your desk. Everyone was moving their desk together as usual. That's right. It was happy fun club time. But I had no intention of taking part. I haphazardly stuffed my contents of my desk into my bag as I prepared to go home. It was a weak-handed gesture to avoid having to actually say, I'll be going home now. What's this, Kei-chan? You planning on going home right away again? Mion sounded quite disappointed. I'm just not in the mood. Could you just let me be for a while? The tone of the words that spilled from my mouth matched Mion's disapproved glare. It felt like the air in the room had dried out. Satoko looked like she was about to say something, but perhaps dissuaded by the mood, she swallowed her words and stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I took that to mean that I could leave if I wanted. But the collective gaze of the four of them, like the tiny pins used to mount an insect in a display, held me in place. Rena was the one who cut through the heavy mood. Keiichi-kun, you just didn't like playing with girls, I guess. She said it in such a melancholic tone that it sent a wave of pain racing through my heart. If this pain was going to kill me, I wanted it to be the soft part of me that could still feel pain. I tore at my chest, violently tearing at the pins that held me in place. And that's not it at all. I'd only be hurting myself by saying anything more, so I swallowed my words. Cutting things off there, I turned away and exited the classroom. They didn't speak a word to me as I left. Why are you showing me the penguin guy? No more penguin sword emoji. No more. It was a long, dull trip back home, but I didn't lose focus. I firmly squeezed the grip of the bat, which was already soggy from sweat. Realizing that, I wiped it down with my sleeve. If something were to happen, I wouldn't want it to be slippery. Since this morning, I've become especially sensitive to the presence of cars. Even while walking, my ears picked up and sought out threatening sounds and presences that could be closing in. And that was why I could hear it. Without a doubt, there were footsteps. Those footsteps had matched up perfectly with mine for a while now. From what I could sense, it was just one person. But I had no intention of being careless. Did they intend to follow me like that car this morning? Until we were in a good location to assault me. Then it wasn't a good idea to keep walking like this. I stopped walking and looked back. The wooded path crowded the trees responded with silence, as if there was nobody there to begin with. But I wouldn't be fooled. I was certain footsteps were following me. And just as I stopped, the footsteps stopped as well. Meaning, the person following me wanted to keep their distance. Oh. That was, without question, proof that I was their target. I held my breath, waiting for that presence to panic and start moving again. The trees rustled with the sound of the wind. The Higurashi also joined in a distant chorus, trying to throw my focus into disarray. Had 5 minutes passed? Or had I been like this for a whole 30 minutes? It was so hard to breathe that I might have suffocated. It seems I'd be the first one to panic. Without a doubt, he was lurking in the shade of that tree with bated breath. Then, I'd make the first move. I fixed my grip on the bat. I raised it up on my shoulder to be ready to swing at any time. Hey! I know you're there! With all my might, I screamed at whoever was hiding in the shade of the tree. But the presence in the shade didn't budge. Until the moment I found them, they had no intention of revealing themselves. I know already! I know you're there! I screamed out angrily at them again. But even still, they didn't move at all. Then I'll go over there myself. With all due vigilance, I approached step by step. Stepping into the tree's shadow, I saw a human figure there. That figure was curled up like a small animal. Rena! When she realized I had found her, her expression softened. She seemed apologetic, but wasn't going to speak a word. Do you have some business with me? I wouldn't accept that silence and screamed the question at her. Not really, it's just... Rena was in a panic, with tears welling up in her eyes. But it was obvious that she had been following me. What about the club? Since you're not, I'm not. That shouldn't matter. Don't mind me, just play. But I'm just worried about you. Thinking about how I'd been acting up until now, it wasn't hard to imagine that my behavior could have been perceived as strange. So Rena was concerned. At a quick glance, that's how it would seem. But I wasn't gonna let my guard down that easily. Even if that was really the case, she still wouldn't have to do something like that to tail me. She should have called out to me when I was leaving and gone and gone out right with me. But Rena didn't do that. She kept her distance from me and matched my walking speed. On top of that, she matched the sound of her footsteps and deviously tried to hide her presence from me. Then, after she realized I noticed she was there, she held her breath as she tried hiding from me. She wore a timid expression that would force one to take pity on her, but without a doubt, she was tailing me. Stop following me. Still glaring at Rena, I continued walking onward. After I'd walked for a bit, she ignored my command and began walking again, so I yelled at her once more. I told you not to follow me! But my house is in the same direction! Then walk ahead of me. I'll start walking once I can't see you anymore. I moved out of the way and waved my bat violently to urge her forward. I want to go home together. With you. Making a pitiful expression, she meekly squeaked out the words in a voice that she knew would cut into my heart. That agitated me to no end. I knew it was a lie. If you wanted to go home together, then you should call out to me. Now you're just blurting out random lies. I'm sorry. It seemed that she seethed anger. It seemed that the seething anger within me was written all over my face. Even without me saying anything, Rena had understood what I was feeling inside. If you get it, then go! I swung the bat, urging her to walk. Rena looked back and forth between me and the bat, and I started walking hesitantly, then stopped again. Go on. Hurry. I'm going. Please stop with the bat. It's scary. Rena guarded herself while pointing at me holding the bat. She may have realized that I wasn't planning on using the bat for baseball. I lowered the bat, but still guardedly opened the way for her. Go. There's no problem now, is there? There was nothing else she could protest. She passed by me timidly, so as not to set me off. As I watched her pass by, she stopped completely after having barely moved at all. Hey, don't stop. Then a powerful gust blew past us, barraging my face with dust. The dust got into my eye and clouded my vision. While rubbing my eyes with my left hand, I swung blindly with the bat in my right, protecting the small opening I had presented. But Rena didn't even try to attack during that opening. Attack me? No, she hadn't budged an inch. I could tell from the sound of her fluttering skirt in the wind. As her skirt settled, so did the silence. At that moment, the voice inside me immediately warned me of impending danger. I was caught by surprise. The smell of the air had changed. Without me realizing it, the air around me suddenly felt like calamity was about to befall me. It was like the air had suddenly become invisible. Invisible concrete. Like Rena and I were locked in this space. Rena didn't move an inch. Also unable to move, I stared at her back. Rena was the first to break the silence. Instantly, she altered her stance. It felt like I had just witnessed her shift from Rena into that other person who looked like Rena. But the voice was the one I knew well, which filled me with a kind of bewildering pity. Carelessly, I felt relief upon hearing that pitiful voice. Excuse me, but can I ask you something? Too shy to even turn around, Rena squeezed her voice out desperately as she trembled. What? Well... Why do you have a bat? I wonder. The question Rena asked was by no means unexpected. I can carry whatever I want. But you didn't have one up until today. Why so suddenly? It's alright if I decide to do something suddenly, isn't it? Is it strange that I have a bat? Because, Keiichi, you're not the kind of person to play baseball. It's weird. I couldn't tell what kind of answer she was looking for, and I was getting tired of answering her. I just suddenly got the urge to play baseball. Is that so weird? It's weird. She answered instantly, and that annoyed me slightly. I just suddenly wanted to play baseball. And I wanted to practice my swing, so I'm carrying around a bat. What's so strange about that? Strange. Weird. Definitely. Why is Keiichi-kun also... Your ramblings are annoying me. Is it that strange for me to have an interest in sports? I tried to sound a bit more threatening to end the conversation. Until my suspicions about Rena were cleared, I had no obligation to answer her questions. I'm sorry. Don't get so angry. Rena still didn't turn around and spat out words of apology, one after the next. Just one last thing. Tell me one last thing. I don't feel like talking anymore. Hurry up and go. I yelled loudly at her, causing her to flinch, like she had been struck. Seeing her in such a pathetic state caused my heart to ache sorely. But even though she was afraid, she stubbornly kept herself from moving. Before I was able to threaten her again, Rena asked her final question. Why is that bat the same too? What does she mean by the bat was the same? I had no idea what she was talking about. What are you saying? I mean, why is even the bat the same? I don't understand what you mean at all. Say it clearly. Even still, Rena didn't turn around. After inhaling deeply, she screamed. I mean, why is even the bat the same as Satoshi-kun's? Satoshi being... Huh? Upon hearing the name out of the blue, I became dumbfounded for a brief moment. By Satoshi, did she mean the student who transferred out last year? No, that couldn't be. Ren had tried to cover it up by saying he transferred, but Oishi-san told me quite clearly that he was missing. He was a student who sat at my seat up until last year. He was believed to have been demoned away by Oyashiro-sama's curse. I didn't know the detail about his disappearance. The aunt he lived with was killed the night of the Watanagashi by a drug addict, and not long after that, he suddenly vanished and was now missing. Natsutoshi and I were... what? My gaze fell to the bat in my hands. Could it be? Satoshi Hojo. It was a bit difficult to see, but that was written on the white tape at the end of the bat. I see. So this is Satoshi's bat. Oh. This was Satoshi's bat. Since nobody was using it, I borrowed it. That's not a problem, is it? That's not it. The way Rena said that made it seem like the bat was something that should never be touched. Like it was some sort of offering at a shrine or a memento of the deceased. I could only stand there, perplexed and unable to respond. Rena continued speaking without waiting for a reply. Why is it that you're doing the exact same thing Satoshi-kun did when it happened to him? Rena was talking about more than just the bat belonging to Satoshi. It was the same with Satoshi-kun. He joined a baseball team, but he didn't really like baseball. What does that have to do with me? Satoshi-kun also suddenly started walking around with a bat one day. He joined a team, but he wasn't the type to play sports. What about it? I closed my mouth before I could say that out loud. Listen carefully, Keiichi. Rena is trying to tell us something important. Satoshi-kun also one day came to school all by himself all of a sudden. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day, he suddenly started practicing his swing. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day, he suddenly began carrying the bat around with him. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day, he suddenly what? Rena had swallowed her words. Rena's sudden silence brought a hush back to the surrounding area. It was then that I could finally digest the content of the entire conversation. She was saying my chain of actions was exactly the same as Satoshi's. What was the meaning of this? Up until just now, I'd forgotten all about Satoshi. I'd never paid much thought of him in the first place. Not only that, I didn't even know anything of what he'd done. My actions today should have been my own creation, after all the planning I had done. But they'd been the exact same as Satoshi's? Then Satoshi... No. More importantly, if both Satoshi and I acted the same, then there was a really good possibility that what happened after would be the same. Rena, that day, what happened to Satoshi? Rena knew. She knew what became of Satoshi. Forget about what happened to the guy in the past. Rena knew what was going to happen to me. Answer me, Rena! Satoshi, what happened to him? With that, I grabbed Rena's shoulder violently and forcibly turned her around to face me. As I faced her, I felt a jolt travel through my entire body. I told you, Keiichi-kun. It was that person that I didn't know. At least it definitely wasn't the Rena Ryugu I'd been talking to up until now. The voice just now didn't have a trace of the trembling or emotion that it had before. The amount of regret I felt turning her around so carelessly was unsurpassed. That gaze that pierced like a cold needle, the smile on her face that invoked an image of having been carved out by a knife. Chills went down my spine. My mind froze under a layer of rime. Both of Rena's eyes pierced through mine, leaving me unable to look away. As if to remind me of the fear from that time before. Rena brought her face close to mine, so close that I could feel her breath. Her face had filled the entire field of vision. Then, her sharply shaped lips grew even sharper, like the curse of a crescent moon. She grinned. I told you, Keiichi-kun. Sorry, kitty. After a short pause, Rena repeated the same words again. Satoshi-kun, you see, he transferred out. Transferred? Meaning what? What Rena meant must have been some new definition of transfer that I was previously not aware of. My throat and my lips dried up. I couldn't even acknowledge that I had just heard. All I could do was swallow down my own saliva. It would seem that Rena saw that as a nod. She pulled her gaze back and spryly stepped back 2-3 paces. As she did, my legs gave out and I fell to my knees pathetically. Rena. And me on my knees underneath her, a motionless smile. That had to be a very odd sight indeed. Seeing me in the pathetic state, she neither scoffed at me nor held out her hand. But I could neither stand nor escape with her gaze shooting through my eyes. There was undoubtedly a metal bat in my hand, but right now it was useless to me. It was like a fly caught in her web. Heavy sweat beaded all over my body. I could feel it dripping from my skin. But you won't, will you, Keiichi-kun? Rena finally released me from the cage of time after what felt like an eternity. But her question was missing something important, and it was incredibly vague. Once again, I swallowed hard, urging her on. Do what? What did she not want me to do? Transfer. Satoshi and I had what? All of my well-planned actions throughout the day turned out to have been nothing more than a reenactment of what Satoshi had done. Satoshi, had it really been the same situation as I was now? The friend he'd gotten along with had changed suddenly, and for no reason, at least none that I had noticed. Planned to kill him. Then, fearing for his life as I am, he got a bat to protect himself and carried it around every day to practice his swing. And then one day, suddenly, he transferred. My blood went cold, causing a prickling sensation to course through my veins. Starting near my heart, it radiated outwards, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, chilling every part of me without recourse. What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Was Satoshi still at whatever he was transferred to? Was he the only one who would be able to understand me? Would he be able to tell me why it all ended up like this? More importantly, where did he transfer to? What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Before I knew it, I was at my front door. My frigid knob. The frigid knob was hard to turn. Was nobody home? It wasn't that odd of an occurrence. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the single key attached to my fur seal keychain. I stepped into the entryway. Just as I was about to take off my shoes, a chill ran down my spine. Someone had entered right behind me. Like a classmate messing around, standing right up against my back. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. But there was undoubtedly someone behind me. Hey now, Keiichi. How do you know they're there, even though they're behind you? Because I could hear the sound of flowing hair. There's no reason I'd hear that sound. That was the presence. Because I could hear the sound of them blinking. Keiichi Maebara, there's no way you could hear that. It was mostly instinct than anything else that was warning me of that presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination. It was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to erase the mental image of an eerie figure standing behind me. But at the same time, I asked myself, if there was nobody, then what was I feeling? As an uncomfortable sensation crawled up my spine. Actually, wouldn't it be better if there was somebody there? If there was nobody when you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all the questions just by looking behind me. But I didn't have enough courage to even do that simple task. Alright, I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer. It was a random thought. I didn't care how it went about it, just so long as I didn't have to turn around. If I had to calm down and thought about it, I would have known that wouldn't have solved anything. Who is it? I spoke in such a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't believe it was my own. I could almost feel them contemplating their response. I felt it. There's no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. It's all in your head. That time, I was certain I heard it. As if hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry, I was certain I could hear the sound of somebody inhaling. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know who, but a tiny speck of courage in me, however reckless it was, inspired a primal yet fitting solution to this current predicament. A scream. All the force in my body released from my lungs and throughout my throat, ceasing all thought processes in my head. Suppressing all of my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until the moment I turned around, until I brought the area behind me into my field of vision, they were definitely there. Falling face up, my eyes traced the remnants of the presence suspended in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They looked like they were there. They were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free in a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotional dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of regression. The emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from the bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state of heightened lucidity, I entrusted my body to the fury. The metal bat held firm in my right hand, as if drawn there by a magnet. A mid-level sweep would be the hardest attack to dodge. I remembered reading something like that from a book about swordsmanship or something. Rah! I brandished my will to fight. The afterimage of the amalgamation of metal flashing as it swung from my left to right, beating against the entryway. The bat slammed into the right wall, the tip rebounding violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound into a sweep to the left. The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. The two swings whiffed through empty space, but they seemed to have a great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from that space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I extracted the bat from the cupboard. It was embedded in and screamed as I spun the entire body around in a large arc. My scream shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. Without mercy or restraint, my violent strike, with certainly fatal force behind it, shattered the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but the ferocity had certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat. The invisible enemy, there, but not there, disappeared. When I was certain that the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and latched the chain. No way. Had it only feigned retreat and was now inside my house? Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for presents. But it was gone. I had succeeded in fending it off. At that moment, the tension drained from my body, and I let out a deep sigh of relief. All the emotions I had been holding back chaotically merged together and began to flood out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment, and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with the strongest exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room on the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back and tilted my head back a little. After clearing my mind of all the idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that at the front door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, maybe it was just an apparition I dreamt up in a confused state. But I really didn't think that was the case. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Compose yourself. But no matter how calmly I thought about it, what just happened wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and without a doubt, something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion I saw amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? I had just one piece. When I asked who it is, they inhaled as if they were about to answer. That sound had clearly reached my ears. The situation I was in now was still unclear. Either I had been possessed by the supernatural phenomenon known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, or this was a ruse by the villagers who believed in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetuated by humans, that would mean admitting it was Rena and the rest of them doing it. But it would be solvable. Oishi-san and the rest of the police would surely arrest my enemy. But if it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse, I wondered what would happen. Oishi-san very clearly declared that curses didn't exist. At that time, those words were pretty dependable. But as things were now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrators were not human, it suddenly seemed quite unreliable. If I told Oishi-san this was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would happen? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but it would go without question that a void would expand rapidly between myself and Oishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with and not being able to confidently declare whether or not this was a curse or not, there was no merit to doing that. I better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add what happened here to the memo behind the clock. There was still ever so slight possibility that I was actually confused when I thought I was composed. I was just going berserk in the entryway. How wonderful would that be if it was really what happened? I'd be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Rena and the rest were perpetrators. If I said that Rena and the rest weren't perpetrators, then that would mean believing Oyashiro-sama's curse. By denying both of those, I'd be admitting that I myself was losing it. The three options from which I couldn't choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to cool myself down. Calm down, Keiichi. Accept what has actually happened as reality. Stop thinking of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful it would be if it turned out I was delirious and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination. Oyashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist and I'd still be the bestest buddies with Rena and the rest. I would have to be crazy. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally, there was no calls from me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't there, I had no choice. I squirmed off my bed and went downstairs. Hello? This is my bar residence. Keiichi? This is Mom. I intuitively had my bad feeling about this. This is because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things. So I took the initiative. What? I don't mind having instant noodles for dinner. There's still a lot of them. The other day we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds, actually, but they refused since the individual packs were expensive. So instead I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork bone and ginger flavored ones I like. But my parents don't like the strong flavors and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them. So, you see, there really isn't a need to go shopping, right? Keiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Mommy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now? That was really abrupt. No, we're already here. We left this afternoon. It's quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Running at full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would take even longer. I'm thinking you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going so smoothly. Now that she mentioned it, I did remember that they talked all that time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy is really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as they are, it'll affect his work. Part of my father's particular fragile artistic personality, his emotions changed as easily as the fall sky. You could also just say he couldn't take criticism. But something like that can be done over the phone. Keiichi, this is your father's job, so can you support him a bit, please? Anyway, it's just faster to talk about it in person, so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. As their son, there was nothing more I could say once they started talking about work. So, we'll be back we'll be back tomorrow night, Keiichi. Will you be fine on your own? It's not like I'll die or anything. Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. There's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mommy will be able to help out. Yesterday, I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them. If I didn't plan on dying, but I didn't plan on dying, at least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. I'll survive even if I have to gnaw my leg off. Yeah. See you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure to wake up and eat your breakfast. And don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah, see you. The call ended like that. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings, but Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance. Never happened this suddenly. I couldn't say those circumstances didn't feel strange, or rather, unnatural. Anyway, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone. Missing. Vanished. Looking back on the series of events that previous 5 years involving Oyashiro-sama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good that the only light in the whole house was from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone, and this was their chance. First, I ran to the living room, flicking on the lights, and turned the TV on to reassure volume. Next was the study. I similarly turned on the lights and some music. With this, from the outside, it would look like my parents were here. Once again, I went through the house, checking to see if there was anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and the laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched down the laundry and haphazardly and erased all traces that my mother wasn't there. Should be fine now. The garage. They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car. They had gone up to Okinomiya Station. The garage was empty, wide open, and in plain sight. This was not good. I panicked and rushed out the back to close the normally open garage door. It should be fine now. I need to get the paper. Mom always got the paper. Since they left the afternoon, the evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. With this, for sure this time, it should be fine. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like this for my little freakout was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell, and the bat was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in this current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a little before Mom got back and scolded me. I remembered that there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. As I was going to get them, the phone rang once again. Hello, this is the Mayabara residence. Oh, is this Keiichi-kun? Is your mother around? She isn't here at the moment. You idiot, Keiichi Mayabara. Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You can follow up still. Calm down. Take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again. Or to tell her to call them when she comes back. Then that's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well then, sorry to bother. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with more telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with a phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisions. I needed to make up a good story to explain that my parents were home, but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? I was thinking about it on the way back to my room when the phone rang once again. It was like they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick up, but I knew I had to. I suspect my parents weren't here. I should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pressure, or under the pretense that I didn't realize that it was. But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted the receiver. Hello? I stopped announcing that this is the Maibara residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Hello, my apologies for calling so late. This is Oishi from the... I don't know what lighthearted and goofy is supposed to sound like. Oishi from the Okinomiya bookstore. Oishi-san? Is that you, Maibara-san? Good evening. Good to hear you're doing well. Wait a moment, please. I grabbed the portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was. There was no one else home, but I wanted to be in a spot that just felt a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Oishi-san. Sorry for the wait. How are things? Anything changed since then? When was that exactly? There was something about the brazen way he talked that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with Oishi-san was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school, I met Oishi-san on the way back from the hospital, and we headed into the town for a lunch and had a talk. Then, after that, Rena and Mion came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with Oishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may well be found out by them as well. Hello? Can you hear me, Maibara-san? Huh? Sorry. What did you say? I asked if anything changed since last time. There wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried. Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that happened, all of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it. But I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I may never have another chance. This night, when my parents weren't home, I had no guarantees I would make it through the night safely after all. Well, Oishi-san, it seems that someone is after me. Really? It could all just be a coincidence, but that day I missed school when I was sick, the two of them came to check up on me. Which two? Rena and Mion. They started asking about how I had lunch with you. What next? They left me some mochi when they came to visit. There was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wonder, could that have just been a threat? About the needle. It was just one of those common sewing needles you see all the time. There was a hole to thread a string through. Not that, Maibara-san. The needle itself. That's the evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is that needle? That's right. That's it! I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed that mochi, I'd overlooked it out of terror, but the needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I had certainly thrown the mochi and the needle at the wall together. If it was there, then it would be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall. There was not a trace of mochi left on it. Could it be that I dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I frantically searched by running my palm along the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desk, pulling up the carpet and then flapping it around. But I couldn't find the needle. Did my mom clean up everything without noticing it? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen, opened up the lid of the pail, and poured out the contents. But even at a glance, I could tell that it would be incredibly difficult to find the needle in the pile of trash. I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I know. I'll try running my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'll still be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash with my hand. Filth flew about. There was nothing more disgusting than this. But it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi waiting for too long. Later, when Mom got back, I'd have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad affixed to the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. I then dashed back to the stairs where I had been keeping Oishi-san waiting for far too long. Hello? How'd it go? I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed back then, and... I see. It'd be great if you could find it. Keep it safe. That's right. The needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell him about the morning with the hit and run. Also, Oishi-san, that's not all. Actually, this morning, that van was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without a question due to the circumstances at that time. Did you see the license plate? I can search for it from here. Dang! I just flipped out yelling at him back then. I didn't look at the plate. What failures on my part with the needle and the plate number. I was so focused but just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip out of my grasp. I punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was. I'm sorry. I don't know much more than that. It was a white van. Nothing to fret about, Mayabara-san. Anyone would be shaken up after that. I guess all of this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Oishi-san started to hem and haw over at the other end. I could imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rena's acting strange. How so? What Rena said on the way home today, asking why I was so much like Satoshi-kun. Now I could say it with confidence. That Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew that there was more to it than him just simply disappearing. Rena knows. She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year. What would that be, exactly? Rena said I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the way things are going, I'll end up the same fate as Satoshi. Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you? Transferring out, she said. Transferring out? Rena said Satoshi transferred out. So given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too. Oishi-san let out a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly. Mayabara-san. That was probably some sort of threat. Or maybe some type of warning. I thought so too. At that point, I started to think. Would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing as the only other explanation. Of course, I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san. Except, Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all of the villagers. Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with prior string of mystery deaths. I seem to recall that Oishi-san had admitted that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little. Meaning, he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what happened at her previous school, among other things that are still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should suspect. No, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight, I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I felt I had, just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house had some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use the brute force, they'd easily gain entry. There were no other residents close to the Mayabara residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud I was. And I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had his house built in such a remote location as I did right now. I wonder if I'd still be here tomorrow morning. So I had to ask, right now, because I had no idea when the next chance would come. Oishi-san, I have something I want to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me. Sure, ask away. Even though he was so far away in the other end of the line, this is the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena. About what happened at a previous school. Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first. But I finally realized it was the doorbell. The time was 7 o'clock. It was past the time the postman would be making a delivery, and past the sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home. That wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I'd put into making it look like my parents were home. I need to answer the door. Hello? Mayabara-san? Sorry, someone seems to be at the door. I'm going to go see who it is. A guest? I see, my apologies. Shouldn't we end this phone call now? That would be a problem. No, I'll be back in a second. Do you mind if I just leave the phone on? It's fine, I don't mind. I dropped the headset on my bed and dashed down the door. I needed to make up a good excuse to get them to leave. I had a hunch it was the lady who called right before Oishi-san did. In which case, it'd be one of the neighbors who's friends with my mom. I'll just say Mom isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That'd be the easiest option. It'd be hard for her to ask me to wake Mom up if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at a regular intervals. If someone didn't answer after the ring the bell so much, you'd normally give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. I'm nervous. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mom's friends. Good evening. Rena. There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy, because it was just as I was about to ask Oishi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to mere coincidence, but those unsettling words from Mion several days ago echoed back to me. There is nothing this old man doesn't know. Are you alone, Rena? Yeah. It seemed that Mion wasn't with her, but that didn't change the situation at all. Why did you come here? Hey, Keiichi-kun, I'd like you to open the door so we can talk. Can I come inside? I wonder? It was true that speaking through a chain door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate, but... At my house, the chain has to be on at night. Don't worry about it. Then, it can't be helped, I guess. Rena pouted rather sadly. But she kept smiling at least, and her effort to keep that smile up was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain, was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain and having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd remove the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on trying to get into the entranceway. Have you eaten yet, Keiichi-kun? No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't there, dinner wouldn't be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home. I was woken up by the phone and didn't have a chance to eat since I used up all that time talking. I was going to have a cup of noodles in any case. I could just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. What about it? Then good. Look here. I brought a bunch of dishes. Rena held out a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. If I could use your kitchen, I could heat up the miso soup and other stuff. It's fine. You don't need to do that. But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Does Keiichi-kun not like that type of stuff? I wonder. There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup and lots of ingredients. White radish, carrots, burdock root, and potatoes. Dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks incredible. I also brought rice. If you microwave it, you can eat it really quickly. Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet, sipping miso soup in between ravenous bites. Yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese. Also, I made some more pickles. I made sansai pickles this time. Before I had moved here to Hinamizawa, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sansai. But I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. The vegetables from the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If you had to describe them, then they were the vegetables for the uninitiated? Uninitiated? To become an expert, such as myself, you first had to partake in sansai. It was common knowledge around here that the Ryugu family traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were. They go so well with that fluffy white rice. And also. But wait, there's more. So delicious. It just seems so delicious. Farewell to my unhealthy self who said he'd make do with cup noodles. Rena appeared to be in good spirits, and she was offering such a delicious-sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone. It shouldn't be a problem letting her inside, though the possibility that it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I could understand why such a sensation had occurred just then, but the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Rena, speaking of this charming dinner, was dependent on one premise. And that premise was that tonight, dinner hadn't been made at my house, meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't there. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time was inherently strange. Unless she knew. Rena. Did she? Did she know that my parents weren't home? But there was also the chance that this was a bluff. I had turned on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were home. There was a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home. But I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There was plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine if my parents were here or not. But there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding on to that fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner is gonna be ready soon. Huh? Is that so? Is that so? I know you went through all the effort and everything, but wow. Unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly. But some of this could work as side dishes, I think. I'm sorry. We have more than enough already. My mom always makes quite a few sides, so... Huh? You have side dishes? With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her question apologetically. But the feeling I tried to ignore began creeping up my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact, and that I was aware of it as well. So, Keiichi-kun can cook. What'd you make, I wonder? No, well, it's not that Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I'd made them, but rather that my mom hadn't. Did you really make them? The side dishes? Did you, Keiichi-kun? It wasn't me who made them. My mom did. No, she's making them right now. So you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat what you brought. Rena fell silent at that moment. At that moment, I felt that the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes. How about I try guessing what Keiichi-kun's dinner will be? It doesn't matter what I'm going to eat. Let's see. The conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated. Your dinner, I wonder. Is it something that can be made with just hot water? Hey, now, stop with the insults. I can't believe you'd belittle my mom's extravagant dinner like that. Tickets sold out, full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grip my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. But Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness. Keiichi-kun, did your mother really leave you dinner? No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. It's almost time for dinner. Rena had taken the assertion of mine that my mother was home and making dinner right now and was completely ignoring it. I could tell that the more I panicked, the colder Rena became. Hey, Keiichi-kun. At that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept in from the gap in the doorway. Is your mom home, I wonder? I couldn't keep up this charade anymore. Rena. She knew full well that my parents weren't home. But I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here, and we'd be having dinner soon. That was the situation I'd concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She's here, of course! I could feel the humidity drawing out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming even more frigid, piercing me with a gelid glare. Why? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but that facade was torn off. It was torn off me the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. That look, it informed me of Rena's response faster than she could open her mouth. Why have you been lying to me? I wonder. I'm not lying. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie! Lies! Rena outburst sent a jolt surging through my bodies. My one singular body. Ren and I were still separated by what few inches that slightly ajar, but still chained door could afford. But despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I had considered a safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me. Shall I guess your dinner, Keiichi-kun? Let's see. I knew now that Rena had already known that my parents would not be there tonight. But it was still so strange that it had to come to this. Even if she somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there was no way that she'd be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? How could she know it was instant cup noodles? That's right, isn't it? That I was going to eat... Wait, the cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing. I don't think you'll be full with just noodles. I think having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. This is just a coincidence. Rena was just reading a certain tales of mine. So the fact that she was inferring what I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she actually reading my mind. If it was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that. It couldn't possibly exist. Do you like them? You mean noodles? No. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's a censored word supposed to be? What's a 7-lettered censored word? Rena indicated that at the point of my answer was addressing... Rena indicated that the point my answer was addressing was wrong. The B word? Bodies? Bodies is 6. Probably a name? Who has 7 letters in their name? Her rebuttal was so short that I momentarily didn't understand the words Rena had spoken. Sorry, Rena. What'd you say just now? Huh? About what? Just now, you asked me if there was something that I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before regretting how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer. That was why I wasn't able to comprehend it. Pork bone and ginger flavor. Wait, is Satoshi 7? Satoshi is 7, no way. Murders? Murders is 7, yeah. Corpses. Do you like corpses? Do you like murders? I wonder how I appeared in the moments and my mind went completely blank until the moment I was able to recover. As my field of view began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena know even this? Not even caring. As I mashed my head against the door, I fixated my gaze on Rena. But she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly didn't buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case. How could you know that? Why, I wonder. Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it? How could you dodge the question at a time like this? The chain and the door suddenly were no longer protecting me. How do you know? Why do you know? Answer me! You bought them at 7th Mart, didn't you? A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering it up with an angry facade. Like I said, why do you know that? I was behind you, following you the whole time. What are you saying? I couldn't understand why she was saying she'd been following me all this time. And that's because Rena was right behind Keiichi-kun's back the whole time. Like that night? That night I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Oishi-san and didn't sense her being there, standing behind the door behind me, standing there, just like that. When Keiichi was picking up the noodles, I was watching the entire time. You picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? Then your mom got angry. If you were going to pick the expensive ones, then you should just pick one type, she said. Then Kichi-kun picked out a big box of pork bone and ginger flavor that he loved so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. But I can never eat a whole big bowl myself. My brain was paralyzed, dueling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With the fear being diminished, the fog enveloping my mind was cleared away. Then I could understand what Rena was saying and started to put meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes closed so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. I slowly took a step back. As I withdrew, Rena advanced. So, Kichi-kun, can you open this? We can eat dinner together. Sure, it's gonna be delicious. So, okay? Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door, one at a time, as if they had a mind of their own, rattling the chain. If she had unlatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me. But Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to light the fuse to the powder keg in my heart, trying again and again. Clatter, clatter. But it doesn't light. It doesn't light. Open up? Kichi-kun? Please go away. I beg you. Please go away. How can you say something so mean? I wonder. Please go away. Go away. I'm not gonna go louder. Someone's gonna call the police. The powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering. It just exploded. I tackled the door. The force through the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed onto the doorknob with both hands, planted my feet firmly, and pulled with all my might. That slamming sound I so desired it didn't happen. Oh, gosh dang, I keep clicking out of the tab. I could feel a tiny, disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing. And the source of that was Rena's fingers. Each of those fingers wriggling, squirming around like tendrils of a carnivorous plant through the crack in the doorway. It hurts. It hurts, Kichi-kun. It hurts. It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp she was trying to keep back. Go away. Go away. Go away. I kept on pulling the door with all my might. I didn't even realize that it didn't loosen my pull on the door, at least momentarily. Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out. And that was why the door wasn't closing. It really hurts, Kichi-kun. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much. I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change any of what she had done up until now. Didn't change anything. It hurts. I'm sorry. Go away! Rena couldn't leave, even if she wanted to, because I'm trapping her fingers. Rena's white fingers had become deep red and were no longer even squirming. I'm sorry. Go away. I'm sorry. Rena's apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, but like a broken record. She was intent on repeating it over and over. Go away. Stop it. I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from their imprisonment in the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly. I could hear the thud of Rena's falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. It made a loud clunk. voicing my rejection to Rena. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keiichi-kun, I'm sorry. Open up, Keiichi-kun. Rena leaned against the door, apologizing profusely, and nothing else. After confirming that I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, those pitiful words. They would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about this at all. That wasn't out of any sort of malice. I felt a sort of hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape from Rena. Before, Miona threatened me at this doorway, saying there was nothing she didn't know. And just now, at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. My meager plans hadn't helped at all. In Hinamizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Rena as possible. 1 step, 2 steps, with each one, her sniveling apologies became more distant. I sprinted up the stairs and dove into my room. As you'd expect, I was finally no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Diving into my bed, I was startled by the hard lump I felt. There was something in my bed? It was the receiver. I finally remembered. I was in the middle of a call with Oishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed since I went downstairs. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I talked with Rena for so long, how did almost no time pass? But the hand on the clock was ticking forward 1 second, every second, as usual. As I put the still warm receiver in my ear, time, which felt frozen, began moving once again. Hello? Oishi-san? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time that had passed between myself and Oishi-san was different. Over the phone, I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. It drove home just how far away Oishi-san really was. Rena came just now. Did she come to play? I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Oishi-san, but I didn't need to right now. Right now, I needed to know about Rena. That's right. I was planning to ask Oishi-san more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true and what was false? I couldn't tell. The one thing I knew was a single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure out something if I asked Oishi-san about her. Up until now, I'd regretted it whenever I forced myself to ask things that I was better off not knowing. But looking at it this way, you could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did right now. No, rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not going to die like this. Not without knowing anything. I definitely won't. Regarding Rena Ryugu-san, did a bit of digging. Yeah, well, it wasn't much. I understood that Oishi-san was talking in circles. A bit means I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend. I want to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be very interested in what I have to say, though. Oishi-san. I spoke as calmly as possible to Oishi-san, who was continuing to avoid the issue. And then I said it. I think Rena Ryugu is suspicious. I keep saying Gyu, I'm sorry. Even if the past incidents were from Oyashiro-sama's curse, Rena Ryugu is involved. You have some sort of proof that makes you believe Rena-san is suspicious? The manner in which Oishi-san spoke became very firm. Do you have some sort of proof? That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. I see. I could tell even over the phone how disappointed Oishi-san was. pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite, only to reel in the bait. Disappointed, ready to cast the line once more. That's how it seemed. Oishi-san, you can't do anything without physical proof, can you? What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck that barb there. As Oishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things, he understood me just fine. It's fine, Mayabara-san. I'll protect you. That was not the least bit reassuring. Oishi-san was just using me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed, and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That was all I was to him. Whether I'm alive or dead may be of no concern to your investigation. But it's all over for me when I die. Oishi-san went silent on the other end of the line. That may have been too blunt, but I didn't care. All I needed to relay to Oishi-san was that I was currently in a very dangerous position. So please, tell me. Tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out. Not too far into the future, I'll probably also do what Rena called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Alright, Mayabara-san, calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Oishi-san having to tell me. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust in the police. It would seem that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect himself. Or myself. Me? Then I at least wanted to know about what happened before Rena transferred schools. You're aware that this won't be very interesting, right? Oishi-san realized my resolve couldn't be swayed, finally caved. Right now, to me, there is nothing that I'll find uninteresting. Please. There's a few things I need you to agree to. Okay. Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? Might not be true? I don't understand what you mean. There isn't one main investigation for the mysterious chain of deaths in Hinamizawa. Each one is treated as its own individual case. Thus, Rena Ryugu has never been linked to any of the investigations. Basically, you see, this isn't an investigation of Rena done by the police. It is a personal inquiry, is what you're telling me. This makes things a lot quicker since you understand. All of it is from either phone calls or meetings and interviews. And they aren't corroborated. I'm asking you to take this all with a grain of salt, is what I mean. Do we have an agreement? All of this is just from what you heard? Yes, my apologies. It's all personal investigation, you see. That thing. Before you said you saw Rena's chart, didn't you? I'm sure I heard you say that. Oishi-san paused for a moment on the other end of the line. I told you that too? Please pretend you didn't hear anything about that. I didn't care about Oishi-san having certain obligations and responsibilities. I also didn't care if there was no proof. Even if there were rumors, there's no smoke without fire after all. Please tell me, Oishi-san. Understood. Oishi-san finally opened those tight lips of his. It seems that Rena lived in Hinamizawa a long time ago. She had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture after she finished elementary school. Then, following that, right after transferring, the unfortunate incident with the breaking of the school windows happened. Then, Rena confided to the doctor. It was Oyashiro-sama. This was all that he knew. There isn't much difference between what I know and what you know, Mayabara-san. And what part did you investigate further? I didn't need to ask. It was the incident that happened just after she transferred. The incident Rena was responsible for, and what she divulged to the doctor afterwards, correct? Yes. After you learned about that, you started suspecting Rena and the others, didn't you? Yes, I did suspect them. So, they're the ones after all. No. That's not what I meant by suspect them. Oishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence. But these particular words were less than reassuring. Then, who did you suspect? That it was Oyashiro-sama. Huh? That Oyashiro-sama's curse really exists. Yeah, right, well... Oishi-san's laugh was quite dry, certainly not the kind that would make you want to join in. Oishi-san resumed the conversation about the dubious circumstances behind Satoshi's disappearance, the course of events up until the start of delving into Rena's past. Just then, there was thunder in the distance, and heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning, rain so heavy it felt like it could beat you down. I left the window in my room open a crack to let the heat out. The violent wind danced into my room, making the curtains flap windily. Windily? Windily? I always learn new words on these. What is it? Oh, nothing. It suddenly started raining heavily. Sorry, please continue. I got up while still on the phone and closed the window. I said at the beginning of the incident, but because neither the school nor the victims filed charges, the police were never involved. So, you see, those involved were very reluctant to talk. Regardless of there being a victim who had one eye beaten so badly that it had permanent damage. It could have been the school or possibly some individual who had arrangements to keep this from going public. Also, the psychologist was very strict about their professional ethics. Hello? Mayabara-san? Can you hear me? There was a figure of a person standing by the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in this torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe. In this shower, which more resembled a waterfall, droplets of water dripped down from her hair. Just standing there, both arms dangling at her side. In one hand was a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Her eyes focused on my room. Focused on me as I was about to get close to the window. Her mouth was methodically repeating a chewing motion. It was as if she had something hard to chew in her mouth, with her cheeks puffing out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be that at this time, it was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking developments being brought to light by Oishi-san? If I hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. Then I wouldn't have noticed Rena. Nor would I have noticed that. Rena's mouth was moving in the same pattern. She wasn't eating something, she was repeating something. What was it? She was repeating... to me? What was she saying? Why was I right up against the window fixated on her? Hello? Mayabara-san, can you hear me? Hello? I'm sorry. Huh? Mayabara-san? I'm sorry. Hello? Mayabara-san? What's the matter? Even in this torrential downpour, Rena was still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking the view of the outside. But even doing that, Rena's relentless apologies still reached my ears. I'm sorry. If I forgive you for this, will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. I'm sorry. Why did I have to forgive her? I'm the one who wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. I won't forgive. Won't forgive. Mayabara-san? You can hear me. Please respond. Hello? Please let me take a sip of tea. Please, I'm so thirsty. Oh my gosh, it's finally over. Longest chapter, world record, #1 longest chapter of anything ever written. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so thirsty. Feels long. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mikey. Oh my god. Ah! It's past my bedtime. I have to be at work in less than 12 hours. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me close out of this game so I don't have to hear rain noises on repeat. Oh, longest chapter ever, man. Do you think the next one's gonna be the last one? Longest chapter 1 I've seen in anything? Did you finish your tea? No, I'm taking huge gulps of it right now. I can feel like walls and layers of mucus in the back of my like throat peeling away and going down my throat as I swallow. Are they crying yet? Maybe. If I got my hands shut in a door, I think I would be crying. So maybe she did a little. Do you have fun time, Essie? Yeah, it's fun. I am way too invested in this now. I gotta know! Next week cannot come sooner. Thank you for bedtime story, Essie. No problem, KJ. I hope you don't get nightmares. I know that it might hit a little too close to home for you guys with my stalkerish behavior, but I hope that it's not too scary and doesn't bring up too many traumatic memories. How much do you charge for the mucus? $0. And that's not saying it's free. That's me saying I'm not giving it to you. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for the company. Thanks for the stream. What? Thank you for the company, Wolf. Mwah. Is Cinema gonna need to sleep with a nightlight now? I've been thinking of getting a nightlight, not because I'm scared of the dark, but because I think it would just make my room, like, comfier. What do you guys think? Thanks for the stream, Messi. Rest up well. Thank you. I'm gonna need it. I have a long day tomorrow. I couldn't tell if you were reading or talking to chat if I wasn't looking at the screen. Why would I say such weird things to you guys? Thanks for this stream. I wouldn't let her in. Who cares? She stalks me at store. How much do you value your life? Thanks for the stream, Essie. She's mainly reading the game. Yeah, not scared. Yeah, sure. I'm not scared of the dark. Do you have dinner ready? I ate dinner before stream. I had my chicken and rice. And 1 grape. Chicken, rice, and 1 grape. Sorry, I couldn't be here. I was grinding on Ranked and Master Duel. No problem. Hopefully it went well. Mikey, hope you got a lot of gems. Says the person who constantly says weird things to us. I do not. Name 1 weird thing I've said to you guys. Not much, Essie. Not much. Understandable. One of the hint chapters explains how she knows about the ramen. But she literally explained to us how she knows about the ramen, though. She's like, yeah, I've literally been stalking you. Of course, like, they already explained that to us. I think Essie weird, but that's good. It just makes you unique. Everybody's unique. A singular grape? It was my dessert. The dominoes fall next week. Next week. Next week has gotta be the last one. It just gets more and more intense every single time. Please sleep well and have a good time at work. Thank you, I'll do my best. The sock thing was pretty weird. What sock thing? Stalker is more like stalk him. You bet. Very clear instructions will follow, thank you. 94 votes, purple is winning. How come nobody voted yellow? I feel bad. Maybe I'd vote yellow because I feel bad. They're both my favorite color, tied. But I might vote yellow because no one else is voting yellow. Okay, I have to get ready for bed. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the company. I think next week might actually be the last chapter of chapter 1. I'm looking forward to it. I'm on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Yellow, a poverty color? What do you mean yellow is a poverty color? Yellow is the color of gold. That's a rich person color. Would you drink pee filtered through a sock? Hey, to be fair, I did not come up with that idea. I was just thinking about it a lot because it was very unique and happened recently. Yeah, you're really close. So close. We're so close. I'm so excited. It's gonna be good. It is! I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I hope that next time it gives me more chances to drink, though. Gold is a color? Yes. Yellow. Yellow gang? I'm on yellow gang, I think. Alright. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for the company. I hope that I can see you again soon. And please take care of yourself until next time I do see you. I will miss you. And I also love you. Bye. Bye. Good night. I'll miss you guys. Mwah. Bye.